bonjour. Did you all have a nice weekend? Good. Now back to me. Today I shall be discussing where is the love in an Inspector Calls. The short answer is that there isn't any. The long answer, we shall begin with Gerald. Now, Gerald Croft begins the play engaged to Sheila. He hopes he'll make her happy, and their engagement brings great joy to Mr. Burling. Laughs complacently. Point is, at the beginning of an Inspector Calls, Gerald seemed very fond of Sheila, giving her a ring. He liked it, so he put a ring on it, and toasting their happiness together and all that jazz. So you think he loves her, right? He doesn't. According to the Bible, sorry bestie, I'm sticking your biblical references, love is patient, kind, not jealous or boastful or proud or rude, doesn't demand its own way, rejoices when truth wins out, never gives up and endures through every circumstance. Gerald is proud, Sheila's proud come to think of it, and tries to cover up the whole Daisy Renton affair, which does not sound like rejoicing in truth to me, if I'm completely honest with you. And he lies to Sheila for an entire summer, which you just don't do if you love someone. Yes, in conclusion, Gerald doesn't love Sheila. But what about Daisy Renton? Let's look at the words fairy prince, shall we? So you've got connotations of magic, of superheroes, of saving the day. Gerald's kind of got a bit of a looking after people complex. He seems to enjoy it when Sheila's childish, but let's not get into that. Keeping someone around because they boost your ego doesn't constitute as love. It constitutes as vanity. So Gerald, où est l'amour? No amour, poor Gerald. Which brings us nicely on to Sheila. Her relationship with Gerald, as we've already established, is kind of a lie. She's playful with him, almost suggesting that she's playing at love. And what about the now I really feel engaged? Sheila's materialistic outlook at the start of the play is shown in the way she looks at her ring, like I said, playing at love. Let's move on to her relationship with Eric, shall we? Fraternal love, siblings, great. They've got quite a childish relationship. It hasn't really moved on from the nursery, if I'm honest with you. And that's probably as a result of their parents babying them. It's where is it? Yes. Don't be an arse and chump suggest kind of childish bickering. You almost get the feeling that that's what they were like when they were 8. They're not 8 anymore. She's in her early 20s. Don't go calling people arses. And the love between Sheila and her parents is similar in that it's not a particularly grown-up relationship. Her mum totally babies her. Calls her a child a lot, so she's getting overexcited. You say a 3-year-old's overexcited, not a 21-year-old woman. Yes, it's not changed since adolescence, really. Eric is probably the only one with any kind of excuse to having such immature relationships because he's barely out of his teens, and not quite at ease. He thinks Sheila is not a bad sort, but that doesn't stop the love they share being childish, like we covered about 4 seconds ago. Eric's love for his parents in a similar way to Sheila isn't particularly grown up. I mean, he steals from them. Do grown-ups steal things? Yes, but not from their parents. Well, they kind of do, but let's not get into that. And we should never forget, you're not the type of father a chap can go to when he's in trouble. Because Eric's painfully aware that his father doesn't really love him and kind of wants him to be like Gerald. And that's quite sad, isn't it? And he was spoilt materialistically as a child, but not hugged enough. So he's emotionally stunted, really, which is very sad. Did he love Daisy Eva, whatever she called herself? No, he really didn't. The inspector makes that quite clear when he says, you used her at the end of a drunken night. And he doesn't really love anyone, apart from alcohol. He does love a bit of alcohol. Mrs. Burling, you could argue, does in fact love her children. She doesn't. She puts Eric on a pedestal. She doesn't believe that he's borderline alcoholic. Describes him as a boy, which is quite patronising when you're 19 or however old he is. We don't get specifics. She treats Sheila like a child. And because she can't or won't treat her children like the adults they are, and as a result they feel pushed out by her. And her relationship with Mr. Burling is no better. She's constantly berating him. Arthur, don't say this. Arthur, don't say that. Arthur, you're embarrassing me. She patronises everyone, and that's not love. So, yes, Arthur, Mr. Burling, he does try, but he's not the type of father a chap can go to when he's in trouble, and he only cares about Sheila's engagement because he looks forward to the day when Crofts and Burlings can trade together, because he only really cares about money. And yes, he loves money as much as Eric loves alcohol. So in conclusion, the characters in Inspector Calls don't actually love each other. They just kind of play at being in love with each other / patronising each other. Remember, kids, to love another person is to see the face of God. Says Les Miserables. Bye-bye.